the top 4 of the Sao Paulo International Challenge. We're going to have Javier J.Señorena from Spain, and with the team of Garchomp, Porygon 2, Ninetales, Tapu Lele, Arcanine, and Muck. And on the bottom, we have G.Agati. You just saw him play a grueling set against William Tansley. He has the team of Arcanine, Salamence, Porygon 2, Politoed, Muck, and Tapu Bulu. Edward, what do you think about this matchup?
I think that Promance has the advantage because Ninetales is definitely a core to Gabriel's team. See, if the Tail is being set up, it can threaten most of the teams in Gabriel's teams. If the Tail is being covered by rings, it can still do a lot with the free strikes here.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think that weather is going to play a really big role in this game, and also I think but then you have to consider the mucks, right? I think the muck is also going to both of these teams because neither team really has great answers to it, and the answers are all answered by the weather setters. So I think we're gonna get some pretty grueling mid games with muck versus muck. I think in the
and in trick room situations, if the trick room is being set up, Gabriel is obviously the one who have the advantage here.
Are you sure? Because I think Javier has Curse Muck. Which is one benefit his team does have. The only problem with Curse Muck is the Will-O-Wisp on Gabriel's Arcanine, which I think we saw yesterday.
True. So we are seeing the lead right now. Gabriel is leading his Arcanine Polygons 2, and on the other side, Javier is also leading the Arcanine Polygons 2. So see the Arcanine is firing Javier is firing the Intimidated first, then it's Gabriel's turn.
So one thing I noticed about Gabriel's spreads that actually really tilts me is that his Porygon 2 has an even HP number, and his HP stat is actually divided by 6. And it doesn't matter that much when the rain is up, but if the sand comes up, his Porygon 2, his Arcanine's HP isn't divisible by 4, so that means it won't activate with the Super. But this turn seems pretty simple. We're probably going to see a Toxic coming out from Gabriel. That's what he really wants to do in this position.
Yeah, we do see the Javier is using this Arcanine of Javier is using the Snarls here, reducing both sides are using the Snarls here. So very the mirror matchups and the mirror turns for both sides here.
Okay, yeah, no, the Toxic's going to come out from Javier Porygon 2, and I'm almost certain come out from Gabriel's Porygon 2. Will it manage to connect? It does, yes. But it connects on the Arcanine instead of the Porygon 2. The only difference between the two players for this turn.
Yeah, surprisingly, I'm pretty sure that targeting onto the Polygon 2 is the more decent choice from Gabriel's side. But I think he might have to tackles the Arcanine first. He might have Bulus at the back. So is also the Muck at the back. That would be threatened by Arcanine's Intimidates.
And you have to wonder, Gabriel was able to, in a previous set, use... you have to wonder, maybe if would have been a better play, or maybe he'll try to set that up in future games. Now has that Toxic, but you have to imagine we're going to see Toxics going into the opposite slots this time. Porygon 2 trying to Toxic the other Arcanine, and Porygon 2 trying to Toxic Porygon 2, but Javier does want his Ninetales.
Yeah, Javier switch his Arcanine back and into a Ninetales. Gabriel is also switching out his Arcanine into the Muck here. So, Javier is making a double switch. So, and other Muck is coming onto the fields here.
So that was so the switch from Gabriel. He tried to predict didn't want his Arcanine to get Toxic. So Javier did the exact same thing. Not entirely sure why Javier switched time, but I guess he felt that great of a position right there. But one thing we notice that's going on is that Gabriel's Porygon is Toxic and is taking a lot of damage. It just took 12% from the poison and then another 16 from the hail, which is also boosted by the fact that he has that one extra HP point. But here you have to imagine the Ninetales doesn't really want to stay in, probably wants to get the heck out of dodge.
Yeah, exactly. Harvey is now switching out his Ninetales back to the Organize, firing the Intimidates onto the Muck here.
That's good because, the Arcanine's probably going to take a Muck, and you have to imagine that Gabriel also wants his Arcanine in, and luckily, fortunately, he's second because so he's going to get the Intimidate on both of Javier's physical Pokemon. That's going to do wonders for his survivability, even through the knockoff taking off his Ayapapa Berry.
So, Gabriel's Muck is also using the knocked off onto the Javier's Muck, knocking off his berries. Now, is mirror situations once again.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And this, it's hard to say who this is the best position for, because Javier has shown that he does have the Ninetales in the back, and you have to imagine, because of the toxic Gabriel went for turn 1, that he has to have Bulu in the back. But Bulu doesn't really want to be in against Muck, Arcanine, or Ninetales, and Gabriel and Javier gets a chance to knock off Gabriel's Muck this turn, and maybe go for a Protect with his Arcanine. So maybe we'll see a roughly equal position coming out from the.
Yeah, we do see Javier switching out his Muck back to the Ninetales here. I'm not sure about whether this decision is correct or not. The Arcanine, the Muck miss. Javier missed Will Whips onto the Mucks here. Whoa.
That's a big one, because Muck is Gabriel's main source of damage, and not only... Oh!
And the knockoff has a critical hit onto the Arcanine. So Javier is in a very tough situation right now.
Yeah, and so there are a couple things that are really important. First, Gabriel has the Muck with his berry intact. That's massive. This Muck doesn't have 173. It has like 388.
Yeah, that's true.
And Javier doesn't even switch in his Muck, so he has no way to hit this Muck. Also, Snarl broke the Ninetales Focus Sash, so if Muck wants to, target that slot with a Gunk Shot, Arcanine, go for a Flare Blitz there, it'd be good. Also, 2 more turns of Hail left. That means if Arcanine, can preserve its health, it'll be able to get a Morning and heal back all of the damage it's taken. This is a
But
really
instead,
good position.
Javier is using the Aurora Veil in this turn, trying to stop to reduce the damage coming out from both sides. And we do see the Snarls coming out from Gabriel. This time, it missed the Ninetales.
Yeah, you can't imagine that really mattered that much. Ninetales was at negatives at 1 decreased stage of special attack already, and you're probably going to see a Gunk Shot go in.
And the Gunshot missed too, so it's is a quite unlucky turn for Javier this time. And the Toxic coming out from the Polygon 2, finally starting to chip the damage on the Arcanine of Gabriel's side.
Yeah, I mean, you use Gunk Shot to do more damage to... it's going to miss something. That was one of the least offensive misses that could have happened. Ninetales much in this position except maybe fishing for... I don't think there's anything wrong with Gabriel. Maybe trying that again, maybe knocking off the Porygon 2, maybe trying to heal it Morning Sun this turn and then Morning Sun again.
Yeah, but we do see Javier is using the Protect on Ninetales. Will Whips coming out from Gabriel's Arcanine into the Ninetales. And we do see the Gunshots also targeting onto the Ninetales. Probably Javier, Gabriel is predicting a switch from Javier's side.
I think Gabriel was covering for us. So he's saying, I'm not sure if you're going to switch, but if you are, your Muck is out of here, and if you're not, Ninetales goes away. Javier, reads that that's going to happen, protects the Ninetales, is able to get a good position off of that. But Gabriel's Arcanine in a really bad position right now. If Blizzard hits the Arcanine, it could get knocked out without getting a chance to use.
But Javier's used the Blizzard, and the Blizzard doesn't hit. And yeah, the double target moves of the Gabriel's comes once again, but this time not able to knock out the Ninetales, but a poison once again continue to chip out the damage of the Ninetales.
Yeah, I think that Gabriel's Arcanine was probably intimidated, or maybe Aurora Veil is much stronger than I think it is. It was pretty fortunate for Gabriel that he both missed the Will-O-Wisp and got the Gunk Shot poison, because that's doing a bit of extra damage to his Ninetales, but he didn't get a chance to recover his Arcanine. So, maybe working his way back in this, his Porygon 2 is not toxic, and he has a chance to take off Gabriel's Super Citrus Berry.
Exactly. So this time is a Muk. There's a match between two Muks here. So Muk is quite important in this matchup here. So Javier's Ninetales is going to go down. I think it will be go down in
I
next
think so.
turn.
But so I think in this position, Javier really tried the Porygon knock off, because if he goes for Blizzard, it would activate the berry, and that would give Muk an additional 50% HP, but if he gets to knock it off without activating the berry, Muk loses all of that HP straight away. So I can't imagine Ninetales wants to attack here. Javier wants to switch it out, maybe reset the Blizzard, get a full, the Hail, get a full Blizzard later instead of just a Freeze Dry. Definitely wants to get that knockoff right here, but Gabriel's not letting him.
So Javier is switching out his Ninetales here, and Gabriel is also switching his Muk into Tapu Bulu. So a very interesting switch from Gabriel's side. We do see the knock off onto the Bulus, and knocking off the Aquafa berries of the Tapu Bulus here, and Ice Beam is coming out from Gabriel's Polygon, still doing a fair amount of damage onto the Muk here.
Yeah, so Gabriel really didn't want Muk to get knocked off, because he knows Muk is probably his best way of dealing with Porygon 2 besides toxicking it, which is not very consistent because his own Porygon is already toxic. So now, Gabriel might want to switch his Muk back into it, switch his Bulu back into his Muk and try and catch a Poison Jab to activate his berry and get that extra healing that his Muk really needs. So Javier needs to be really careful here, because he's not in a terrible position, because he has Curse on his Muk. And so Curse Muk should be able to be all three, especially when grassy terrain is up. But he needs to make sure that, he is able to manage Muk's health very carefully versus the health of all of Gabriel's Pokemon. Because if Gabriel gets a Leech Seed off onto the Muk and then around and maintain healing, it could be a bad position.
But we do see the Wood Hammers coming out from the Tapu Bulus of Gabriel's side, doing a fair amount of damage onto the Muk. And Muk is now using the Curse to boosting his attack and defense. Will we see the trade rooms coming out from either side of the players?
Yeah, you have to think. I think Javier's Porygon 2 was faster, so if it doesn't get frozen, it's probably going to see it coming out.
Yeah,
that was a really good play from Javier. I think Gabriel, instead of the Wood Hammer there, to get passive recovery off of that Muk. I think that would have been a much better play, because Muk is the real key to winning this game for Javier, and a Curse is the way to do it.
Yeah, Tapu Bulu is also helping Javier's on restoring some of the HPs of the Muk here. So Aurora Veil of Javier's side, Wardlocks here. So Muk is in a very good positions against the Tapu Bulus here. It might force Gabriel to switch out his Bulus back into his own Muk here.
Yeah, that's what you have to be thinking, and Javier doesn't want to make any. You will see Ice Beam.
Yeah, Ice Beam is a double target onto the Polygon 2s of the Gabriel side, but it's not able to knock it out, and the Toxic comes out, finally comes out from Gabriel's side onto the Polygon 2s. So the Wood Hammers from Gabriel's side is going to do a fair amount of damage onto Javier's Muk here.
Yeah, and it's kind of disappointing that Gabriel hasn't Muk and didn't Leech Seed the Muk the turn Trick Room went up. Because if he had gotten the Leech Seed off, he could have switched back into his Muk. But now, he can't even do that. His Porygon 2 is going to faint. And Javier's Muk with its +1 defense is in a really excellent position to take this game. Muk that's at +1 defense should be able to beat Muk that's at neutral defense, and Muk is definitely able to beat Bulu in Trick Room. So
yeah. So Bulu is kind of troubles right now. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what I think.
yeah, I think Javier could just store out the treatment for himself to allow the Ninetales that he preserved to come back to the fields safely to dish out the damage of the blizzard and maybe some of the damage from the hells.
The one thing that Javier does have to be scared of, though, Gabriel, had protected his Bulu here and gotten the flamethrower off onto Muck. He might have been able to take it. If he had gotten, a double protect, he might have been able to take it out. But instead, he just tries not to reveal information, knocks off the Porygon 2 instead. And that's almost certainly going to be game. It's very difficult for Gabriel to beat the Bulu of Javier, especially after potential blizzard coming out from Ninetales. It's still possible, but they did shake hands on it, so Gabriel doesn't feel confident about his chances of winning this.
Yeah, exactly. So the curse play is kind of the key solutions to Gabriel's team's USB, because he has the Ninetales for as a fast whippers and the curse muck for the slower whippers. So it's kind of like a sandwich against Gabriel's teams here.
Yeah, the added defense of the muck was most of Gabriel's damage that he brought this game, and indeed most of the damage that he has overall damage. He has physical Arcanine, he has a physical Tapu Bulu, a physical Muck, he even has a physical Salamence. The only special damage he has is Politoed, which he chose not to bring because of its poor matchup with Ninetales. So the curse is really good. And Javier, uncharacteristically, choosing to forfeit. He didn't forfeit against Tansley, and I'm not sure why he would now. I guess he just doesn't want to. Chances of winning are so slim.
Yeah, true.
Not sure that was optimal.
Yeah, because I think Gabriel still stand a more chance here. He might did a critical hit onto Javier's Muck here, but yeah,
crit burn with the flamethrower maybe.
Yeah,
is forced to. I feel like there were a couple of ways it could have. You have to imagine he's thinking something. He's probably thinking something different for this game. I'm not sure that plan was the best plan.
Yeah, true. So, for audience who jumps into the streams right now, you're watching the semifinals between Gabriel's semifinals of the Latin America's
Sao Paulo International Challenge between G.Agati and Javier. I think it's J.Señorena, not. But it's Gabriel. He's locking in pretty quickly. He seems to plan. Javier talking to he's asking how much time is left. You don't get to see a public clock when when you're on stream, so you have to ask the judge. And when you have Tapu Bulu and Ninetales, every turn healing, every turn doing hail damage, toxic damage, recovers, burns, a lot of time gets wasted really quickly. So I think Gabriel, maybe he's going to bring the Salamence and going to try and pressure the Ninetales a bit more. He doesn't seem to change up his lead. Javier is changing them up, though.
Yeah, Javier is bringing the Muck and Polygon 2s, and Gabriel's sick with his own, the leads of the first games. He is Arcanine and the Polygon 2s here.
So in this position, I think Javier knows, and he can't afford to let it get burned. If Muck gets burned, it doesn't do any damage. If it gets intimidated and burned, that doesn't even do damage to Tapu Bulu, and then it takes hail damage, and leech seed damage. It's not a good position. So I think Gabriel can have a chance to will-o-wisp his own Porygon 2 and toxic Javier's Porygon 2.
Yeah, it's quite a good positions for Gabriel's here. But also Javier is now switching out his Muck back into his own Arcanine. So will-wisp going on to the Arcanine wouldn't work here. So maybe we were going to see the toxic mirrors here. And
Gabriel does go for the will-o-wisp. He knows about that play. It reduces the damage you take massively. Only take the 1/16.
Yeah, that's truly the plays of this games here. So Gabriel has quite decent positions right now because now Harvey doesn't have solid solutions against the Polygon 2s, so burning it, yeah, it's kind of like you don't want the toxics from the Polygon 2. You want the Polygon 2s to stay as long as possible. So let's burn it.
Yeah, and I think, you know, in this position, Gabriel can make a really interesting double statuses into the Arcanine. He goes for the Will-O-Wisp onto it, and if it switches into Muck, the Muck gets burned, and he Toxics it, and if the Arcanine stays in, the Arcanine gets burned, because I don't think Arcanine really wants to protect here. I think it wants to go for a move, and Gabriel does seem to be pumping his fist. He did seem to go for that Will-O-Wisp. Will it connect?
No, unfortunately. So the Ice Beam is coming out from Gabriel's side onto the Muck, and Trick Rooms is being set up on from Javier's Polygons too. So now the Muck has a slight advantage here. He might just go for knocked off onto the Arcanines, knocking the berries out, and yeah, doing a fair amount of damage onto the Arcanines too.
Yeah, it really, that Will-O-Wisp miss did really suck, but you know, Gabriel went for Will-O-Wisp turn 1 and a Toxic. He had to hit both of those to be in a good position, and then he went for another Will-O-Wisp. You know, you're just stacking inaccurate. Eventually, something's gonna miss, and you know, it's unfortunate that it was that one, but all of them miss. So in this position, knockoffs are really free, but Javier still doesn't want his Muck to be burned. I think it's hard to know how properly to use this position, and he decides to manage it by protecting the Muck, you know, knowing that Gabriel wants to focus it down.
Yeah, and the Toxic is coming out from Javier's Polygon 2s onto the Arcanines. He knows that he wants a chip damage onto the Arcanines so that it would be a knockoff range of the Mucks here. So the Arcanine is going to Will-Wisp onto the Mucks here. So
yeah, so Muck avoided all damage that Javier knew that Muck was what's important. Gabriel knew it, and Javier was like, okay, we know what the most important is. Just protect it from taking any damage. I think Javier is gonna, you know, try and protect it going further. You might see him switch his Muck out into Arcanine right here. That would to try and maintain his position. But his Porygon 2 is taking a lot of chip damage from that Toxic. It's been you know 3-4 turns. It's gonna start taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, indeed, he switched out his Polygon 2 to the Ninetales. So which would be a very strange positions right now. He might switch out his Muck 2. We see the switch of the Muck out, but we do see the Polygon 2 switch out to the Muck of Gabriel's first.
And Perman does decide to switch out his Muck, bringing in his Arcanine, getting the Intimidate off on both Gabriel's physical Pokemon, but his Ninetales not in a great position right here, but it's probably not going to take any. Gabriel probably wasn't targeting into the Muck, but not doing anything to the Arcanine. It was a pretty good play from Javier, yeah.
So how damage now it's doing starting to chip the health of Arcanines here, but Trick Rooms there is around, I think there are 2 turns left. There are 2 turns left. Yeah, 2 turns left, and both Gabriel's Pokemon is faster in the Trick Room. So Javier have to be very careful how he would do afterwards.
Yeah, I think Gabriel might want to switch out his Arc and not take Toxic. And maybe, you know, just go for a knockoff. It's hard to determine what Muck should do, but maybe it should go for a Gunk Shot into the Ninetales, because Ninetales, you traditionally think you'd want Ninetales might feel free to set up an Aurora Veil if Javier is feeling a bit risky.
But instead, Gabriel is switching out. Oh, his Polygon is making the first appearance in the top 4 match here. So Javier is not looking happy. He might be starting.
I think he went for the Aurora Veil. I think he did it. Yeah, he was feeling confident, but it does not get set up if pale weather is not up. Javier's Arcanine revealing Will-O-Wisp for the first time in the set, going into the Politoed. Not going to do too much against that. But that wasted turn from Ninetales is really not that good.
Yeah, exactly. So, it all depends on the speed in the short rooms here. Javier's might want to switch his Ninetales to reset the weather afterwards, but this is also a risk that Politos could dish out score damage onto any switch-ins that Javier's brings.
Yeah, I think what might happen is Arcanine protects Ninetales, switches out into Porygon 2, and the next turn Arcanine can switch out into Ninetales because Gabrielle's going to 9 out because of all the toxic damage it's taking. So I think, Javier has a way out of this position. Probably wouldn't get too punished from that if he goes for that type of plan.
Yeah,
and we do see Gabrielle switching out the Arcanine.
Yeah, back to the Polygons too, not wanting the Arcanines to continue to taking the toxic damage here. So Darno doesn't matters because the attacks races here, and yeah, the Ninetales from Javier's side also switch out into the Polygon too.
Yep, Arcanine protects. He does not want to take a Rainbow Scald. That would be the end of the Arcanine. And Porygon and Polito does Scald into that protect. So, pretty consistent plays all around. But one thing you notice in this position is that Gabrielle's Pokemon are both burned, but Javier's Porygon 2 is still toxic. And that's going to keep hurting that Porygon 2. That damage, keeps racking up. It keeps racking up.
And the Trick Room expires here. So I'm not sure about whether Javier's Arcanine has the access of the Wild Charge or not, but
it has Protect, Snarl, Will-O-Wisp, and Flare Blitz. I think we've seen all those moves. So I think Arcanine's probably going to want to switch into Ninetales. Ninetales is pretty safe here. If Polito doesn't switch out, then it won't. Then Javier will get a free Blizzard or something else. But Porygon 2 switches out into Ninetales instead.
Oh, this is this is quite an interesting place here. So I think Javier's want to.
Yeah, he's going to Snarl.
Yeah. So reducing the score damage, that's going to be his own Arcanines here. Yeah,
I think Gabrielle made a bit of an inefficient play there. I think he, recognized that Ninetales was switching in, and so his Politoed would be in a bad position, and he should have switched out his Politoed and maybe Toxic the Arcanine. I think that because then he would have had the chance to switch in Politoed next turn maybe if felt threatened, or not if he didn't. But in this position, the muck on Gabriel's side is really set up that Aurora Veil, practically for free. It'll take some damage, but not too much, especially if the burn goes.
So Gabriel is switching out his Politoads into the Arcanines so that he can reset the reins afterwards. So indeed, Arcanines of Javier's size use a Protect. Will you see the Aurora Veil, and will you see the Welt here?
Yeah, you have to wonder what Gabriel's going for. And he does. Javier making an excellent play, predicting that he needed to keep his berry on Arcanine, because if that knockoff had gone off in Arcanine, it would be pretty much knocked out. And so so Javier was able to get a free Aurora Veil off. He took absolutely no damage that turn. Really excellent play on his part.
Yeah, this time Javier is kind of in a trouble position because he might want to switch out his Ninetales to prevent any big damage coming up from the Arcanines. But yeah, it might turn out that Gabriel predicts that and uses Snarls onto anything he switches.
Yeah, I think Gabriel does have a knockoff. I think he's going to rely Arcanine and his burn Porygon 2, and if he can knock off the Arcanine, actually no, Arcanine wasn't the threat. I don't know why he went for it. But if he can knock off the Arcanine, his Muck will be able to knock off other things, and that could be beneficial in the more, mid-game, in the later game areas. But this game's still going to take a while. Yeah, we're in for the long haul, man.
Yeah, Gabriel has more options now. He can Snarl, he can Will Whips, and he might be able to also use the Flare Blitz in that.
Yeah, Ninetales, Flare Blitzing Ninetales is... There's nothing Ninetales can really switch into that wants to take a Flare Blitz, and if Ninetales attacks, it'll just get, straight up knocked out. And that'll put a really quick timer onto this game. Ninetales does attack, goes for the Blizzard. Will we see any freezes onto the Muck? Nope, no freezes.
Freeze, and we do see the Flare Blitz. No prediction, not secondary predictions from... Yeah.
Oh, wait, did that Ninetales survive? That Ninetales survived the Flare Blitz on one...
Yeah,
putting in massive amounts of work for Javier.
Yeah, and knocks off goes onto the Polygons 2. Finally, Polygons 2 on Javier's side the Eagleites of the Polygons 2 is being knocked off here.
Yeah, that was a... Oh, and the berry goes off for Gabriel as well, healing over 100... Healing around 100% of his HP. That was massive. So, what was nice about that turn is Gabriel did a bunch of damage, everything chunked. It's all taking a bunch of damage, and Gabriel seems to have the really healthy poke.
Yeah, and Gabriel here, he can just target onto the Polygon 2s. Either it's a double target on. I'm not sure about whether the flavors from Gabriel's will knock it out. And anyway, to prevent Harvey from setting up the trick rooms to benefit his own cursed Muck.
And so at this point, when everything's so badly damaged, about Perish Song, if you're Gabriel. His Politoad, heard that somewhere. It had Perish Song on Wolf's original version, which was a very similar team, and if he can get 2 knockouts and preserve the health of his Pokemon, he should be able to take it out. If he targets that slot with a knockoff, that would be an excellent start to getting that damage done.
But Harvey is switching out his Polygon 2 into the Arcanine, and yeah, Harvey's Ninetales continue to use the Blizzard and the criticals onto the Arcanine. And we do see
that's one Pokemon getting knocked out. Does a tiny bit of damage to the... Will it do enough to make knockout KO it with the berry? Or did Muck use the Gunk Shot? What will happen? There is the Aurora Veil. Will this knock out the Arcanine? It doesn't knock out Arcanine.
So Arcanine is in a position that he might want to use the Will-Whips afterwards.
And just an update here, I've heard Ashton Cox has... Whoever wins this game will get to face the one, the only Link Yoshi Mario in finals. Gabriel's Arcanine does faint to that toxic damage. But I think he's free to send in Politoad here, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I think Politoad's really good here.
So, Harvey is sending out his own Muck, and Gabriel, as we have said, he sent out his Politoads here.
I think that Politoad has a super...
Yeah, it's a Wiki Berry set.
Okay. Huh. This is a difficult position, because right here, Javier really wants... But if Politoad, gets a Scald off onto that Muck and burns it, or maybe if he's an Encore set, that could be really bad for him. So he has to, play a more mid-game... He has to play a more balanced type of strategy, maybe knock off the Politoad, protect his Arcanine, so that he doesn't take too much damage on this.
Yeah, exactly. So Harvey is now using the Protects on the Arcanines, and the Politoad is also using the Protects from Gabriel's side. So knock off...
And, yep, Javier needs that knockoff on the Politoad, but Gabriel denies it from him, knocks off Figgy Berry. That's going to take away a large amount. Gabriel does decide to win this game on HP. But what's important to note here is that Arcanine just protected. There is nothing preventing Gabriel from just doubling that slot, making whatever's in that slot, making whatever's making the Arcanine disappear or the Porygon 2 disappear, setting himself up for the Perish Song to take this.
Yeah, unlike last games, when Harvey's Arcanine uses Nows, because it's definitely a difference because it's not raining. It was in the hell, so I'd like to see whether the score is going to knock out the Arcanine here. So
I'm not sure it will because there is the Aurora Veil.
It doesn't.
Yeah, the Aurora Veil's going to do a lot of work there, and the knockoff does go into the Polytoad, doing massive damage. Knockoff from the Muck. Will it be enough to knock Arcanine?
No.
It isn't!
So
2 HP. Seems to be 2 HP, Javier. Oh, that was massive on Gabriel's side. He wasn't with the gunk shot, and he risked the Arcanine surviving as a result of the Aurora Veil. So now he needs to preserve the Polytoad even more. He's probably going to want to switch his Polytoad out into Porygon 2, so that way he can switch it back in and get off a Perish Song if he can, get the right Trick Room position. I think Javier, that could have been the turn that decided the game. Survival was very key.
But Perish Song might not be the answers for the Gabriels, because if he set up a Perish Song, it would be the Muck versus the Muck. And the Muck, the curse of Javier's Muck would help teams that makes him the last one to survive in the situations.
But Gabriel could set up Trick, and then Porygon 2 would be faster.
Yeah, that's quite difficult. Yeah. We do see the Will-Whips coming out from the Arcanines onto Gabriel's Muck finally. We do see another curse, and we do see the curse from Javier's Muck too.
That's a really good prediction from Javier, because there was a option for Gabriel there. It doesn't matter if the Porygon 2 isn't in. Switch around it, if the Arcanine didn't target that Polytoad and the Polytoad went for the Perish Song, Javier wouldn't have had enough turns to take the game. But he got the curse off before the Polytoad was in, and Polytoad switched out. So if Javier, keeps launching attacks and the Polytoad switches into one of them, it's going to get knocked out. The game will be over. It's going to come down to the wire. I'm not even sure.
Yes, and Polygons 2 of Javier's side could stay for several turns because of the recovers.
Yeah, it has recover. It's a reset. It's toxic damage, so it's going to be taking too much this turn. It's probably, and we do see it going for the Porygon 2. So it wouldn't be that great of a position for Javier if he did have his Polytoad, because Javier would sandwich him inside and outside Trick Room, but he knows he needs to get that Porygon 2 gone. He doubles it with the Gunk Shot, with the Ice Beam, not doing any damage, and the knockoff is going to come out into that Porygon 2 doing lots more than Gabriel was able to.
Yeah, it would be a knocked off onto Gabriel's Polygons 2 next turn with Poison Jabs.
I think you have to Poison Jab next turn, because it does more damage.
Yeah,
I don't think it knocks out.
Would be choice.
Yeah. So Gabriel's probably going to recover with his Porygon 2 here. I think he'll survive a Poison Jab I think he'll, take 1 or 2 more Poison Jabs before he gets knocked out. Oh, I think Javier might be going for... Oh, no, it's a speed tie.
It is a recovery.
That's a speed tie. So the Porygon 2 and the other Porygon...
So Gunshot is firing from the Gabriel's, and it missed once again, and Javier take this opportunity to set the second curse on his Muck.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a...
I'm not sure Gabriel can win. I don't know how he does it, because he needs to knock out the Porygon 2, but from this point on, Muck's just going to keep attacking. He can't even Encore it into Protect. He can't Perish Song because it's the slowest thing on the field. Javier J.Señorena might be advancing to the finals with this game. That would be very nice. Oh, Gabriel went for it. He brought in the Toad. Will he have the chance to set up the Perish Song? Is there a target into that Muck slot? We see him praying. He's holding his hands together, cracking his knuckles. Porygon 2 goes for recover. If Porygon 2 gets knocked out this game, what will happen? Will the Poison Jab do enough damage? Goes into the... Muck's going for Trick Room on Javier... Not Muck. Porygon 2's going for Trick Room on Javier's side. And that should be the game.
Yeah, Javier should be able to take the game here, because the slowest thing on the field would be the Muck. And yeah, it could knock out the Polygon, either the Polygon 2 and the Polytoads. Yeah, even with the Ice Beams from Javier's Polygon 2, it should be a knocked off.
Yeah, I think Muck just, poison jabs the Politoed, and you just ice, I don't know, you just ice beam the Porygon too, I guess.
Yeah,
And
ice
then
beam should do.
Yeah. That was a really good play from Javier, I need Trick Room up before Politoed comes in. Gabriel switched in his Politoed, but it was too little. He needed to switch it in when he was going for the gunk shot, when, his Muck wasn't going to be targeted. He realized this, just one turn too late, and Javier was able to turn the tides on him. Muck goes for the poison jab. The players shake hands. Porygon 2 gets knocked out. The Ice Beam, I assume,
Yeah,
Porygon 2 does go for Ice Beam.
It should be a knots off. Yeah,
and that is enough. And Gabriel's Burn Muck is not going to be a +2 Muck at all.
Yeah, so congratulations to Javier here. He will play against
Ashton,
of course. Yes. So
that's gonna be an interesting set for sure. You guys gotta stay. You're gonna see Pheromosa action, Specs Lele action. You're gonna see Torkoal on Ninetales action. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I would be very exciting about the match here. So,
and the match was forfeited.